Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church in Providence, where we love beyond belief. These days are crazy full, and so it is all the more precious that we have this community, this beloved community, this church, this faith, each other, as we walk through them together. They help us hold and respond to it all. This is the day that we have been given, so may we make the very most of it, starting right now, together. India considers Kalidasa to have been the greatest playwright in the history of their country. He lived over 1,500 years ago, and he wrote our invocation today. It's from our hymnal. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the splendor of action, the glory of beauty, for yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Cruz. Please join me in today's chalice lighting. This light burns also in our hearts, and it lights our path towards harmony and justice and hope for all.
Good morning, friends. As we prepare to share the joys and the sorrows that connect us in beloved community, we're going to do something just a little different this morning. Just after the candles, we will hold our silence together instead of at the end of the meditation. This will be the time for you to raise your hand or stand in silence to honor someone you may have lost in this past year. A candle of remembrance. In this week of so much national sadness, I want to remember two friends who have died recently. Tom Jansen, a true gentleman and fellow chorister of several of us at First U, and also Richie Brousseau, an exuberant young man with a developmental disability, much beloved by his family and all of us who knew him. May they both rest in peace. A candle of joy and sorrow. I got to spend many happy, adventurous years in loving partnership with Bill Rapoli. My sorrow is that he passed away on Thursday of glioblastoma. He had a special affinity toward First U, which he attended with me often. a candle of sorrow for a dear friend who was killed by the driver of a car, and also for a cousin who has just contracted COVID. And a candle of tragic sorrow for Tommy Raskin, who died by suicide at only age 25. He was the son of Sarah and Congressman Jamie Raskin, who was a friend of Reverend Liz. Our prayers go out to all who knew and loved him. We're going to enjoy some silence now, and remember, if you want to remember someone, stand or raise your hands. Amen. Now we're going to prepare ourselves for prayer and meditation. We're going to deepen into the hour. In light of all that has been happening in our country, the worship team has prepared a special musical meditation for today.
Our gratitude and apologies to Lee Hayes and Pete Seeger. Our gratitude to them for writing this song almost 70 years ago, and our apologies for excerpting and modifying it for our purposes today. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land.
Let America be America. Let it be the dream it used to be, the poets compel. It was from Unitarian and Universalist dreaming that we made manifest justice, equity, and compassion. And it is by these very dreams that we realize together the right of conscience and the goodly use of the democratic process. By these dreams, our waking hours move us to freedom and to justice. But this week, the alarms went off and the bells have sounded. Wake up. Wake up to the dream. Let America be America.
Well, we've got a bell from the foundry of Paul Revere, and we're gonna ring it for all of this land. We're gonna ring it for justice, we're gonna ring it for freedom, gonna ring it for love between our brothers and our sisters all over this land.
let them reign all over this land, friends. Amen.
Today's reading is a poem, Hold Fast to Dreams, by Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow.
Had I the heavens' embroidered cloths enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night, and the light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. The poem, Ada Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven, by W.B. Yeats. The thing is, people don't tread softly on our dreams, do they? I mean, sometimes they do. And when that happens, hopefully we are as grateful as we should be. But too often, all too often, people tread hard on our dreams. Really too often, they stomp on them. This is why crushed dreams is an idiom. Back when I started working on this service, I misremembered the poems that I wanted to use. I thought it was Langston Hughes, the great 20th century American black writer, who wrote, "Tread softly because you tread on my dreams." And as I was thinking about the poem and his message, I realized, well, that's kind of naive, Mr. Hughes, isn't it? I mean, does any black person, especially in these United States, really expect soft treading on their dreams? But then I finally actually looked up the poems I was wanting to use, and I realized, no, they don't expect that at all. And Langston Hughes did not ask us to tread softly on his dreams. He knew better. So what he wrote and what he taught was that you have got to hold fast to your dreams, because no one will cherish them for you. And if we lose our dreams, if they die, then yes, life is a broken-winged bird. And if you have ever seen such a thing, then you will know, or can easily imagine, how piteous and terrible that really is. A broken-winged bird is awful to see. Meant to be up in the air, quick and strong and ready, and instead vulnerable and struggling and doomed. When dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen and cold, with no hope, no prospect of spring, only endless winter, life that is not life at all. And it was, in fact, William Butler Yeats, my beloved old W.B., the romantic, the passionate Irish writer who lived into the early 20th century, who begged for his dreams to be softly touched, who offered to spread them like a gallant's cloak over a mud hole, even if they were cloth of gold from heaven itself, he said, for the stepping of a woman he loved, to whom all his dreams were tied. But on further inquiry, even Yeats was not so credulous. The character Aed, whose name is Gaelic for fire, whose lines those are, was afire with love, consumed with love, in thrall to a woman who, in fact, would not treat him well, who would use his love and his dreams for her own ends. His dreams were as doomed as the broken-winged bird. The week after this will be a momentous week, starting with the holiday that honors the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I cannot count the number of times that I have heard, read, pondered, preached on his I Have a Dream speech. Not only that piece of his writing and speaking, but especially that one. Reverend Dr. King's dream was rooted in the American dream, as he himself pointed out, when he prophesied that one day little black boys and black girls would be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers, that we would all be able to work together, pray together, struggle together, go to jail together, stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day, to let freedom ring, so that all God's children, black and white, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing free at last. And this past week has shown us again how far we are from his dream. The same dream that so many of us have inherited from him. The dream we have still done far too little for. The dream that depends now on us. We all saw the very white crowd of violent rioters, a number of them armed and armored, sweep up to the Capitol. We have seen by now the scaffolds and nooses they erected outside the Capitol. We saw at least one instance of Capitol Police removing a barrier so they could enter the grounds. We saw the Confederate flags they carried, an American flag replaced with a Trump flag, the Capitol policeman taking a selfie with a rioter in the building. We saw them chase also the police and saw the police run from them. We saw our elected representatives driven into hiding. We saw the rioters loot and destroy the most important building in our nation. And we saw most of them depart, unimpeded, unassailed, unarrested. Many milled freely around the Capitol grounds even hours after the curfew had been put into place and after pipe bombs had been found and safely detonated at both the Republican National Committee office and the Democratic National Committee office. And a cooler filled with gasoline bombs and a long gun were found in a car on the grounds of the Capitol. Many of the rioters were armed, which all by itself is a federal crime on the grounds of the Capitol. 4 of them died. One was shot while she was trying to break further into the building, and one police officer, Brian Sicknick, was mortally injured by rioters. 14 other Capitol officers were seriously hurt. And still, the defending troops showed remarkable restraint. As my colleague and friend, Reverend J.B. Washam, over at First Baptist, pointed out in a conversation we had earlier this week, here also is proof, if we needed it, that police can respond with patience and sensitivity to situations of obvious personal threat and challenge. The relatively few terrorists who were impeded, some were gassed, or repelled in their attack, and they all were over and over again in TV interviews, and I really can't believe this, but they were indignant. They were shocked in all their white privilege that they had been maced or menaced as they rampaged forward in what they all understood and explicitly said so was an assault, was storming the Capitol. And by now, we have probably seen and heard the comparisons with the aggressive response of law enforcement to the mostly peaceful Black Lives Matter protests in D.C. last summer, when they were reacting to George Floyd being killed by police in Minneapolis who refused to take a knee off his neck. The protesters were in droves, beaten, gassed, shot with rubber bullets, herded and pursued by troops in riot gear and police cruisers, and unidentifiable troops elsewhere in black uniforms. And probably we have all seen again this week images of the thick spread of National Guard troops in front of the Lincoln Memorial during those Black Lives Matter protests. I want to ask us to think about that image of the troops in front of the memorial for a moment. Until I moved to live in Washington, D.C., April 16th was always about my sister's birthday. Only when I moved to D.C. did I learn it is also Emancipation Day, a holiday that exists only in that city. April 16th, 1865 is the day President Lincoln declared emancipation within Washington, D.C., a day when over 3,000 enslaved people were freed. And this was 8 months before his national Emancipation Proclamation. So how is Emancipation Day observed? Thousands and thousands of black people, of black families and individuals go to the Lincoln Memorial to pay their respects. Some go every year. They pay their respects to President Lincoln because he knew perfectly well, way back then, that Black lives matter. So long ago, he already understood that there is no difference between taking a knee and respecting the flag, respecting America. and the foundational principles of this nation, because there is no liberty and justice for all until there is liberty and justice for all. There is no difference between Dr. King's dream and the American dream, which makes the posting of those National Guard troops geared up across the steps of the Lincoln Memorial of all memorials not just racist, but ridiculous. In the wake of all that, right up to and including the past week, what do we do with our dreams now? What do we do with the American dream, with Reverend Dr. King's dream, with our own dreams? We all have them. Everyone has a dream. I don't know all your dreams, but I know every one of you has them. Every one of us has a dream, or more than one, at every age. In every circumstance of life, we have dreams, and they are precious to us. But my gosh, what kind of place is there possibly in this real, hard world for something as precious and fragile as a dream? Because let's be real, dream has a certain flimsiness to it sometimes. The dream budget, that'll never happen. The dream vacation, never what you hoped. Dream girl, dream guy, dream date, dream job, you know they are not going to work out like that. Really, a lot of dreams are just a setup for disappointment, for failure, if stomped on hard enough, for despair. Surely we have all had some dreams stomped on. I certainly have. I have had dreams I sacrificed and struggled and endured for, undermined or rejected or destroyed, turned into that broken-winged bird, the barren field. It is brutal. It is serious heartbreak. It's soul damage, the damage from the dream denied, the dream that died, can feel more real in the end than the dream itself ever did. Though the dream may take some of our heart and soul, some of the scope of our own vision and living with it on its way out. But what all this teaches us right through this past week, what Reverend Dr. King knew very well, what we also know, is that, like democracy, dreams are not for the faint of heart. As we live through this extraordinary time in the history of the world, in the history of our nation, in the beginning of this 4th century in the life of this church, what a time to be seeking and settling into a new church mission and vision. What a time to be charting our courses as people, as individuals, as families, as a faith community, as citizens of this nation, as inhabitants of this planet in this time so oppressively full of massive challenge and enormous opportunity. Knowing that the strength or weakness of a dream depends on us, on whether we really want it, on what we're willing to do for it, on whether we are willing to live into our dreams when that means risking them, risking our dreams. It's risking ourselves. Because risking the dream means risking the failure of our dream, which leads us back to that heartbreak and the soul damage, what the dream takes from us when it fails. I have to believe that this is why sometimes, let's be honest, we don't risk it. Sometimes we'd rather have the dream. Keep it as a dream only. Evergreen within that frozen field of winter. Then risk losing the dream by trying to attain it. Or we can try to content ourselves with an opposite approach. Rather than preserving our dreams unrealized, we can abjure dreams altogether. Aim lower than dreams. Dream not dreams, merely plans. Dream of immediate next steps. Dream not of becoming and blessings, but of simply doing and proceedings. One of the most demoralizing sermons I have ever heard was when a preacher, who must obviously remain nameless, exhorted us to dream possible dreams. Let's not set our sights too high, he said, not so high that we might fail. Let's make sure we aim at what we can definitely achieve and do that, just that. I mean, aim high, just not very high. If we keep our dreams modest enough, we will always succeed. Well, that's true, but it is not inspiring. If it's so moderate, I'm not even sure it's faithful. All of us who heard him that day came away dulled in spirit. Whatever we needed from that preacher that day, it was not his recipe for sure success. The whole point of faith, of any faith, is that faith points beyond the ordinary, the predictable, the perfectly possible, towards the extraordinary. That extraordinary which is always calling us, calling all humankind towards it, towards that all that transcends our ordinary possible lives, towards the remarkable, the ultimate, the impossible, which we nonetheless always yearn towards and sometimes achieve. And then we take inspiration from that. Impossible, achieved. We are living in an extraordinary time. We may be fired up by that. We may be exhausted by that. Personally, I have learned it is even possible to be both, almost but not quite simultaneously. But while some people are walking backwards, armed and determined to drag everyone else back with them into trial by combat and might makes right, others are stepping up, determined that this time will not be merely tumultuous, but transformative. That we will move forward, closer to finally becoming the America that was declared centuries ago, with liberty and justice for all. Those American values are not just Reverend Dr. King's values, they are also Unitarian Universalist values. Think about it. We affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, the acceptance of one another, encouragement to spiritual growth, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience and the democratic process is a sacred principle to us. World community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And respect for the interdependent web of all. These are our sacred principles. So many of them align with historic American imperatives. Now, what this struggling time requires of us is our capacity for belief in dreams. Right now, we keep hearing, this is not America. And yes, this is not what America is supposed to be, but this is what America is. It is, to quote our founders, self-evident. Also, that America has never been yet truly America. We have never yet fully realized the dream of our nation as it is proclaimed in those revolutionary documents and declarations. We can't deny it. We can only change it. With our individual dreams, with this great shared dream, but never, never flimsy dreams. And not dreams that are really just proceedings and next steps. This time demands dreams that fire us and call us onward, dreams like the fulfillment, finally, of America. We can change it, and if we do, we will finally be America. A dream made real after so long, finally, truly. United across all differences, equal in opportunity and under the law, and as Reverend Dr. King proclaimed, working together, praying together, struggling together, standing for freedom together. Democracy, equality, peace. They cannot remain so vulnerable, flawed, ebbing and flowing with the tides among us. Their fulfillment will mean all we hold sacred for ourselves and the world will be strong and sure and present among us all. Their establishment will support so much more. Dreams that are music, dreams that are art, dreams that are love, dreams that are family and safety and beauty, dreams that are essential and never for the faint of heart. Dreams that cannot just remain dreams. All these are dreams we must not just risk, but be strong for when, not if, when they are stomped on. They must endure as our dreams to which we are devoted, dreams so vital that the broken-winged bird heals and the frozen field endures until the spring. Dreams that we achieve not because they are so readily possible, but because we are so utterly committed. Dreams that we will risk failing because even when we fail, and we will, we know we will keep on until we succeed. Dreams we simply cannot ever abandon, though we know, though this week has powerfully shown us, there are so many with their heavy shod feet raised. So many whose dream of supremacy is threatened at its core by our dream of equality and opportunity, by our first principle of the inherent worth and dignity of all and not just some. They do not tread softly on Reverend Dr. King's dream. They do not tread softly on the unrealized dream that is America. They will never tread softly on the principles that are our Unitarian Universalist dream. But our dreams don't need soft treading to survive and thrive. It is not about the dream, it's about us. Our strength, our hope, our resolution. Our dreams actually may be stronger now. Some Black friends and colleagues I know are more hopeful now than ever in their lifetimes because the unjust, unequal, unsafe, unspeakable reality they have always inhabited is now clearly apparent to so many more than ever before. Social media and cell phone videos are spreading untruths and bullying and conspiracy theories, yes, but they are also revealing hidden truths and institutionalized racism, so many plagues and torments that depended on ignorance and secrecy to endure, that cannot endure under the bright light of scrutiny and share buttons and screenshots. So yes, there are threats and vulnerabilities to much that we hold sacred these days, but many of us just used to be blind, and now we see. We finally see so much that cannot survive being seen, so much that will not survive being proven. Change is already here. The tide is coming in. Reverend Dr. King's dream is damaged and worn and resilient and evolving, still becoming, still blessing, and we are part of it along with countless others. Never has it been so clear to me as now that the dream of Reverend Dr. King and the dream of our Unitarian Universalism and the dream of our country are in so many ways one dream that runs bone deep in us. Our hymns sing them all together. Our readings parse and praise them. Our principles sanctify them. Our faith shows us how far we still have to go and that together we can get there. These days are hard. Such days are always hard. There are no stories of a promised land without an exodus, no victory without striving and pain. This is the physics of human living and human miracles. The struggles, the losses, the hurts and disappointments are always part of finding our way. We are on our way. We are making dreams into reality. We are wrestling with the most elusive dreams of humankind and wrestling them into shape around us and among us and within us. Such holy work. And it is ours. Amen. As we respect and care for the inherent worth and dignity of every human being, our offering today is a special offering going out to Hope's Harvest. Everything you give to the church this week will go in support of their mission. Hope's Harvest Rhode Island mobilizes volunteers to harvest and recover surplus food from local farms and distributes it to hunger relief agencies across the state. In reality, this is an ancient practice known as gleaning. Since 2018, they have rescued over 300,000 pounds of fresh, healthy, locally grown food for our neighbors in need. That is 150 tons. That's almost 1 million servings. At a time when 1 in 4 Rhode Island households cannot meet their basic food needs. 1 in 4 right now. 1 in 4. This work is more important than ever. Please give as generously as you possibly can. You can go to our website and follow the links for giving. You can also write a check. You can drop off some bills in an envelope here at the church. Please give as generously as you are able, and thank you. Thank you so much for all that you give and all that you do and all that you are. I am really excited and grateful to say that it is time for the first Unitarian Astounding Auction and Merry Marketplace. We are looking for goods, services, and experiences for our online auction, which will run from the end of this month, January 29th to February 12th. Possible donations include gourmet dinners, lessons, maybe art, maybe cooking, minor repairs, gardening or lawn care, week or weekend getaways, vintage items with documentation. This is not a garage sale, auction. Sports memorabilia with documentation, tech support, electronics, auto maintenance or detailing. Donations are accepted starting next week, and the donation form will be included in this coming Tuesday's email. So think about what you can do, think about what you'd like, and start paying attention to this really exciting opportunity. I am so grateful to our own Nancy Forstrom and Ann Boyd, who are spearheading this effort. Also, if you know of a business owner or individual who could offer a higher-end item or maybe a sponsorship, please put them in touch with Nancy in the office. Nancy's working on this project with First U member Ann Boyd. Contact either of them if you have questions or if you would like to help. It's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and it's an important part of keeping our community strong during this time. Our closing words are from our hymnal and also the writing of President Abraham Lincoln. As labor is the common burden of our race, so the effort of some to shift their share of the burden onto the shoulders of others is the great durable curse of our race. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy. Our reliance is in our love for liberty. Our defense is in the spirit which prizes liberty as the heritage of all people in all lands everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and we have planted the seeds of despotism at our own doors. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves and cannot long retain it. Let us have faith that right makes might. And in that faith, let us to the end dare to do our duty.
We carry the flame of love and peace and hope until we meet again.